When I saw that name in the wallet, my world stopped. Dr. Michael Harrison. The letters seemed to burn into my eyes, bringing back memories I'd been trying to forget for 3 years. My hand shook so badly, I almost dropped the wallet on the cold pavement. It was 6:15 a.m. on a freezing Tuesday morning in Atlanta. I was finishing another 12-hour shift as a night security guard at Lenox Square Mall, my second job of the day. In a few hours, I'd need to be at the UPS warehouse for my third job. I slept 3 hours a night if I was lucky, but bills don't pay themselves. The wallet was there, half hidden between 2 cars in the VIP parking area. Expensive Italian leather, the kind that cost more than my monthly salary. For a second, I hesitated. As security, finding lost items was routine, but something about this wallet felt different. Maybe it was where I found it, or maybe it was the fact that I was too desperate. I opened it to check the owner's ID, standard procedure. And that's when my entire life came crashing down again. Dr. Michael Harrison, oncologist, Emory University Hospital, the same man who held my hand when Sarah died, the same one who promised to help me, the same one who betrayed me when I needed him most. Inside the wallet was $3,147 in cash. I knew the exact amount because I counted 3 times, trying to believe what I was seeing. There was more money there than I made in 2 months. Enough money to pay the overdue rent, turn the electricity back on, buy winter clothes for Emma and Tyler, and still have enough left for decent food for a few weeks. My phone buzzed. A message from Emma's school. Mr. Williams, we need to discuss pending school supplies and Emma's uniform situation. Please contact us urgently. I looked at the wallet again. $3,147. The solution to all my problems was right there in my trembling hands, but it was money from the man who had destroyed my family. If you've ever been a parent, hit that like button. You'll understand the weight of the decision I was about to make. 3 years ago, I was Marcus Williams, 31 years old, electronics technician at a security company, making $38,000 a year. It wasn't much, but it was enough. Sarah worked part-time as a nurse while taking care of the kids. We had a simple but happy life in a 2-bedroom apartment in Decatur. Then came the diagnosis. Breast cancer stage 3. Sarah was only 29 years old. Dr. Michael Harrison was the oncologist assigned to her case. Tall, graying hair, expensive suits, the kind of doctor who inspired immediate confidence. During the 18 months of treatment, he became more than just our doctor. He became our hope. Sarah fought like a warrior. Chemotherapy, radiation, surgery, experimental treatments. I used up all my vacation days, then took unpaid leave to be with her at every appointment. My company was understanding at first, but after 6 months, they had to let me go. We couldn't afford to lose Sarah's insurance benefits, so I took whatever work I could find that wouldn't interfere with her treatment schedule. Night security jobs, weekend construction, anything that paid cash and let me be with her during the day. Dr. Harrison saw our struggle. He saw me sleeping in uncomfortable hospital chairs, saw me rationing my meals so Sarah could have proper nutrition, saw me wearing the same 3 shirts because I couldn't afford new clothes. One day, after a particularly difficult chemo session, he pulled me aside. "Marcus," he said, placing his hand on my shoulder. "I've been watching you these past months. Your dedication to Sarah is extraordinary. When this is all over, when she beats this thing, I want to offer you a position at the hospital." My heart stopped. "Sir, we need a head of security systems. Someone trustworthy, someone who understands electronics, someone with character. It pays $45,000 a year with full benefits. Medical, dental, vision, everything your family needs." I almost cried right there in the hallway. "Dr. Harrison, I don't know what to say. Say yes. Sarah's going to beat this, and when she does, your family will have security again." That conversation gave me hope during the darkest days, when Sarah was too weak to speak, when the bills piled up. When I had to choose between gas money and groceries, I held on to Dr. Harrison's promise. But Sarah didn't beat it. She passed away on a Tuesday morning in March, with Emma and Tyler holding her hands and me whispering that everything would be okay. Dr. Harrison was there, tears in his eyes, promising me that Sarah's courage had inspired everyone in the oncology wing. At the funeral, he approached me again. "Marcus, that job offer still stands. Actually, it's more important now than ever. Those children need stability." 2 weeks later, I called the hospital's HR department. "I'm sorry, Mr. Williams," the woman said. "We don't have any openings in security. Dr. Harrison never submitted any paperwork for a position." I called Dr. Harrison's office directly. His secretary was polite but firm. "The doctor is very busy with patients. I'll give him your message." He never called back. I left 12 messages over 3 weeks. Finally, his secretary told me bluntly, "Mr. Williams, please stop calling. Dr. Harrison has made it clear there are no positions available." That's when I realized the truth. The kind, caring doctor who had promised to help had been lying. Maybe he thought Sarah would survive, and he'd never have to follow through. Maybe he just said what he thought I needed to hear during a difficult time. Or maybe he simply forgot about the grieving widower once his patient was gone. Whatever the reason, I was left with 2 small children, mounting debt, and no prospects. I had to start over. Night security at the mall paid $12 an hour. Weekend shifts at UPS paid $15. During the day, I tried to find something better, but without current references and with gaps in my employment history, doors kept closing. The medical bills from Sarah's treatment haunted us. Even with insurance, we owed $47,000 in uncovered expenses. The hospital that employed Dr. Harrison was threatening to garnish my wages if I didn't start making larger payments. Emma, now 8, tried to be brave. She never complained when we had to move to a cheaper apartment or when I had to pack peanut butter sandwiches for her lunch every day because it was all we could afford. But I saw how she looked at other kids with their brand-name clothes and expensive backpacks. Tyler, 5, didn't understand why Daddy was always tired, why we couldn't afford the toys he wanted, why other kids went on vacations and we never did. And now, 3 years later, I was holding Dr. Harrison's wallet with more money than I'd seen in months. The irony was crushing. The man who had destroyed my financial stability had carelessly dropped enough money to fix everything he'd broken. I stood in that parking lot for 10 minutes, staring at the cash. Emma's school had called yesterday about her overdue lunch account. The electricity company had left a final notice on our door. Tyler needed a winter coat because he'd outgrown last year's. All I had to do was walk away. Take the money. Dr. Harrison would never know who found his wallet. He was rich enough that losing $3,847 would probably just be an inconvenience, but I could hear Sarah's voice in my head. The same words she'd said to Emma and Tyler 100 times. "We do the right thing, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard." I closed the wallet and put it in my jacket pocket. I knew what I had to do, even if it killed me. The drive home felt like the longest 20 minutes of my life. Every red light, every stop sign, every moment I sat in traffic, my hand drifted to the wallet in my pocket. $3,147, more than enough to solve every immediate problem in my life. When I pulled into our apartment complex, I saw Mrs. Chen hanging an eviction notice on our door. "Mr. Williams," she said, her expression sympathetic but firm. "I'm sorry, but the management company is requiring all past due tenants to vacate by Friday. You're 3 months behind." 3 months. $1,200 per month. $3,600 total, with late fees bringing it to exactly $3,180. I looked at the notice, then at the wallet burning a hole in my pocket. The math was almost perfectly ironic. "Mrs. Chen, I understand. I'm working on it." She patted my shoulder gently. "You're a good man, Marcus. I wish I could do more, but my hands are tied." Inside our apartment, Emma was getting ready for school. She wore the same 3 outfits on rotation, carefully preserved but obviously worn. Her shoes had cardboard covering the holes in the soles. "Daddy, do you have lunch money today?" she asked quietly. I checked my wallet. $11. Not Dr. Harrison's wallet, my actual wallet. $11 to last until my next paycheck on Friday. Here's $5, sweetheart. "Get the hot lunch today," her face lit up. Hot lunch was a luxury we couldn't usually afford. "Really? Thank you, Daddy." Tyler wandered out of the bedroom, dragging his favorite stuffed animal. His pajamas were too small, stopping several inches above his ankles. Growing kids need new clothes constantly, but growing kids don't care about their parents' budgets. "Daddy, Kevin's mom is taking him to Disney World," Tyler announced. "When are we going to Disney World?" Emma shot him a warning look. At 8, she already understood our financial situation better than any child should have to. "Maybe someday, buddy," I said, kneeling down to hug him. "But we have each other, and that's the best adventure of all." He seemed satisfied with that answer. 5-year-olds are wonderfully resilient. After I dropped the kids at school and daycare, I sat in my car outside Emma's elementary school, staring at Dr. Harrison's business card from the wallet. His office was 15 minutes away. I could return the wallet, look him in the eye, remind him of his broken promise, and maybe finally get some closure. Or I could just mail it anonymously and never see him again. My phone rang. "Unknown number, Mr. Williams. This is Janet from Emory University Hospital Billing Department. We've sent several notices about your outstanding balance of $47,247. We need to discuss payment arrangements immediately, or we'll be forced to pursue legal action. The medical bills from Sarah's treatment. Another reminder of Dr. Harrison's world, where life-saving care came with life-destroying costs." "I understand," I said. "I'm doing everything I can." "Sir, you've been saying that for 2 years. We need concrete action. Can you commit to $500 monthly payments starting next week?" $500 a month. More than my rent. More than my grocery budget. More than I made some weeks. "I'll have to call you back," I managed. After hanging up, I pulled out Dr. Harrison's wallet again. Besides the cash, I found credit cards with no limits. A membership card to an exclusive country club. Tickets to the Hawks game next week that probably cost more than my monthly food budget. This man lived in a completely different universe from mine. A universe where $3,047 was pocket change. Where promises to desperate people could be broken without consequence. Where poor families could be crushed by medical bills while the doctors drove home to mansion estates. I thought about Emma asking for lunch money. About Tyler outgrowing his clothes. About the eviction notice waiting for me at home. I thought about Sarah, fighting for her life while Dr. Harrison promised me security. That never came. I started the car and drove toward the hospital, but I wasn't sure if I was going to return the wallet or confront the man who had ruined my life. 20 minutes later, I stood in the parking garage of Emory University Hospital. The same place where I'd spent so many desperate hours during Sarah's treatment. The memories hit me like a physical blow. Sarah in a wheelchair after surgery. Emma and Tyler confused about why Mommy was always tired. The financial counselor explaining payment plans for bills we could never afford. The elevator to the oncology floor felt like a time machine, taking me back to the worst period of my life. But this time, I wasn't the desperate husband of a patient. I was just a man returning a lost wallet. The receptionist at Dr. Harrison's office was young, probably just out of college, wearing scrubs that cost more than my entire outfit. "Can I help you?" she asked with practiced politeness. I found Dr. Harrison's wallet in a parking lot. "I'd like to return it to him personally." Her eyebrows rose. "Oh, wow, he was looking for that? Let me check if he's available." She disappeared into the back office. Through the glass partition, I could see her talking to someone, then gesturing toward me. Dr. Harrison emerged a moment later, and seeing him again was like being punched in the stomach. He looked exactly the same. Distinguished gray hair, expensive suit, the kind of confident bearing that came from a lifetime of respect and financial security. He didn't recognize me at first. 3 years of sleepless nights, financial stress, and manual labor had aged me considerably. "You found my wallet?" he said, extending his hand. "I can't tell you how grateful I am. I was starting to cancel credit cards." I handed him the wallet, studying his face for any sign of recognition. "Everything appears to be here," he said, quickly checking the contents. "This is remarkable honesty. Most people would have just taken the cash and thrown the wallet away." "The cash is all there," I said quietly. $3,847. Something in my voice made him look up more carefully. Our eyes met, and I watched recognition slowly dawn on his face. "Marcus," he whispered. "Marcus Williams?" "Hello, Dr. Harrison." The color drained from his face. His hands, still holding the wallet, began to tremble slightly. "Marcus, What are you doing here?" "I mean, thank you for returning this, but I work as a night security guard at Lenox Square. I found your wallet in the parking lot this morning after my shift." The words hung in the air between us. I watched him process the information. His former patient's widowed husband, working night security, finding a wallet containing more money than he probably made in months, and returning it intact. "You work security?" he asked softly. "But I thought, didn't we discuss a position here at the hospital?" "We did," I said. "You promised me a job, head of security systems, $45,000 a year with benefits. I called after Sarah's funeral, just like you told me to." His face went completely white. "Marcus, HR told me there was no position. Your office told me to stop calling. 3 years ago, Dr. Harrison. 3 years of taking whatever work I could find while the medical bills from my wife's treatment destroyed my credit and threatened to take my children's home." Other people in the waiting room were starting to stare. Dr. Harrison glanced around. Nervously, "Marcus, please, can we talk privately?" "My office." "I don't want anything from you," I said firmly. "I just wanted to return your wallet and look you in the eye one more time. I wanted you to know that the desperate man you made promises to, the one you forgot about, is still here, still fighting, still raising his children, to be honest, even when honesty hurts." I turned to leave, but his voice stopped me. "Marcus, wait. Please." When I looked back, there were tears in his eyes. "I need to tell you something. About that job, about what really happened. You deserve to know the truth." Dr. Harrison's private office was exactly what I'd expected. Medical diplomas covered one wall, family photos another. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, you could see the Atlanta skyline, a view that probably cost more in office rent than I made in a year. He closed the door behind us and gestured to a leather chair across from his mahogany desk. I remained standing. "Marcus, first, let me say how sorry I am. About Sarah, about the job, about everything." "Sorry doesn't pay bills, Dr. Harrison," he winced. "You're right. And you deserve an explanation." He moved to his desk, opened a drawer, and pulled out a thick manila folder. "I've been carrying this for 3 years, hoping someday I'd have a chance to make things right." He opened the folder and spread several documents across his desk. Job applications, background check forms, salary proposals, all with my name on them. "I did submit the paperwork for your position," he said quietly. "The day after Sarah's funeral, I personally walked these documents to HR and demanded they expedite the process." I stared at the papers, confused. "But they told me no position existed because the hospital board killed it." His voice carried a bitterness I hadn't expected. "They said hiring the widower of a former patient was too emotional and could create liability issues. They were worried about setting precedents, about other families expecting special treatment." He pulled out an email chain, pointing to specific messages. "I fought them for 2 months. I threatened to quit, told them it was a matter of professional integrity. They finally offered a compromise." "What kind of compromise?" "They'd create the position, but not for you. They'd hire someone with more traditional qualifications and offer you a lower-level security position at $28,000 a year. No benefits." The amount hit me like a slap. $28,000 was less than I'd been making before Sarah got sick. "I refused," Dr. Harrison continued. "I told them that wasn't what I'd promised you. That wasn't what your family deserved after everything you'd been through. So instead, you gave me nothing?" "I kept fighting. For 6 months, Marcus. They brought your case to board meetings, wrote formal complaints, even threatened to go to the media about how the hospital treats families of deceased patients." He showed me more documents. Board meeting minutes, formal grievances, letter after letter advocating for my employment. Finally, they gave me an ultimatum: drop the issue or face discipline that could affect my ability to practice. They said I was becoming emotionally compromised and my judgment was questionable. The room fell silent, except for the hum of the air conditioning. I felt like the ground was shifting beneath my feet. You fought for me for 6 months? 9 months, actually. Even after they threatened my license, I kept trying to find alternatives. I reached out to other hospitals, private security companies, anywhere that might value your character and work ethic. He pulled out another set of papers. Look at this. It was a job offer from Piedmont Healthcare. Head of Security Operations, $52,000 annual salary, full benefits, start date in December 3 years ago. They were ready to hire you based on my recommendation alone. But when I called to give you the news, what happened? Your phone had been disconnected. I drove to your apartment complex, but the manager said you'd moved and left no forwarding address. My heart sank. We'd moved 3 times that year, always one step ahead of eviction, never staying anywhere long enough to establish roots. I tried everything I could think of. Called Emma's school, contacted your former employer, even hired a private investigator to track you down. He showed me receipts. $2,400 paid to a private investigation firm. $800 to a service that specialized in locating people in financial distress. They couldn't find you either. It was like you disappeared. I slumped into the leather chair, overwhelmed. You spent $3,200 trying to find me? I spent more than that. I also set up a trust fund. A what? Dr. Harrison walked to a wall safe hidden behind one of his diplomas. He entered a combination and removed another folder, this one much thicker. I felt responsible for your situation. Zara's medical bills, the job situation, everything. So I established a trust fund in your children's names. He opened the folder to reveal bank statements. My eyes widened as I saw the numbers. I've been depositing $500 every month for 3 years. It's earning 4% interest annually. The current balance is, he pointed to the most recent statement, $19,247. My vision blurred. $19,000 for Emma and Tyler's education. I know it doesn't make up for what you've been through, but I wanted them to have opportunities. I couldn't speak, couldn't think. The man I'd hated for 3 years had been fighting for me the entire time. There's more, he said gently. The Piedmont Healthcare position? I never filled it. I told them I'd found the perfect candidate, but he was temporarily unavailable. They've been holding it open, hoping I'd eventually locate you. He picked up his phone. If you're interested, I can call them right now. The salary has increased to $58,000, and they're offering a signing bonus to cover relocation expenses. I stared at this man. I'd completely misjudged. Why didn't you keep trying to find me? Why did you give up? His expression grew sad. I didn't give up. I kept searching until 6 months ago. What happened 6 months ago? I was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. The words hit me like a physical blow. Cancer. Stage 4. I have maybe 6 months left, probably less. The chemotherapy is, well, you know how it is. You watched Sarah go through it. I looked at him more carefully and saw what I'd missed before. The slight yellowing of his skin, the way his expensive suit hung loose on his frame, the subtle tremor in his hands. That's why finding you today feels like a miracle, he continued. I'd started to think I'd die without ever making this right. He stood up and walked around the desk, extending his hand. Marcus Williams, would you allow me to finally keep the promise I made to your wife? I looked at his outstretched hand, then at the document spread across his desk. A job offer that would change my family's life. A trust fund for my children's future. 3 years of effort and expense from a man I'd convinced myself didn't care. Dr. Harrison, I don't know what to say. Say you'll let me make this right. Say you'll take the job, access the trust fund, and give Emma and Tyler the stability they deserve. I shook his hand, and for the first time in 3 years, I felt hope. But I was about to learn that Dr. Harrison had saved the biggest surprise for last. 3 weeks later, I started my new position as head of security operations at Piedmont Healthcare. The salary was exactly as Dr. Harrison had promised, $58,000 annually, plus full medical benefits for me and the kids. The signing bonus covered our moving expenses to a 3-bedroom apartment near an excellent school district. Emma cried when she saw her new bedroom. "It's so big, Daddy, and I can see trees from my window." Tyler was more impressed by the fact that we had cable TV again. We can watch cartoons whenever we want. For the first time in 3 years, I felt like I was providing them with a real home, not just a temporary place to sleep. But Dr. Harrison's condition was deteriorating rapidly. I visited him twice a week, sometimes bringing the kids. Emma would draw him pictures of our new apartment, and Tyler would tell him elaborate stories about his kindergarten adventures. "You know," Dr. Harrison said during one visit, "having you and the children in my life has made these last few months bearable. Sarah would be proud of the man you've become, and the father you are." It was during our 4th week of visits that he told me something that changed everything again. "Marcus, there's something else you need to know. About Sarah's treatment, about her medical bills." We were sitting in his living room this time, not his office. His home was a sprawling estate in Buckhead, the kind of place I'd only seen in magazines. But despite its grandeur, it felt lonely. No family photos, no signs of the life being lived there. "What about her bills?" I asked. "They were never supposed to be your responsibility." I didn't understand. "Oh, what do you mean?" Dr. Harrison walked slowly to his desk, moving carefully due to the pain from his treatment. He returned with yet another folder. "This is difficult to explain, but I need you to understand the full picture." He opened the folder to reveal correspondence between him and the hospital billing department, dating back 4 years. Sarah's case was unusual. The experimental treatments I recommended weren't covered by her insurance because they were still in clinical trials. "Right. That's why we owed so much money." "No, Marcus, you don't understand. I enrolled Sarah in those trials without proper documentation. I was so convinced they would help her that I bypassed the normal approval process." My blood ran cold. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that legally, ethically, those treatments should have been free. Clinical trial participants don't pay for experimental procedures. The hospital should never have billed you for them." The room started spinning. "Are you telling me that the $47,000 in medical debt should never have existed? I made an error in paperwork that cost your family everything." I stood up so quickly that my chair fell over. "You destroyed my family's finances because of paperwork?" "Yes, and I've been trying to fix it ever since." He showed me more documents. Letters to insurance companies, appeals to hospital administrators, legal consultations with medical malpractice attorneys. 2 years ago, I finally got the hospital to admit the error. They agreed to cancel your debt entirely and pay damages. Damages? $125,000 for the financial hardship, the credit damage, the years of struggle that never should have happened. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Where is this money? That's the problem. The hospital's legal team required the settlement to be paid directly to you, but I still couldn't locate you. The money has been sitting in an escrow account for 18 months. He handed me a bank statement, an escrow account in my name, containing $125,000, plus interest, totaling $131,247. This is why I never stopped searching for you, Marcus. It wasn't just about the job or making things right emotionally. You had money waiting for you. A lot of money. I collapsed back into the chair, overwhelmed. In the space of a month, I'd gone from facing eviction to having a good job and over $150,000 in combined trust fund and settlement money. Why didn't you tell me about this 3 weeks ago? Because I needed to see what kind of man you'd become. I needed to know that you'd keep your integrity even when you were desperate. He gestured toward the coffee table where his wallet sat. The same wallet I'd found in the parking lot. That wasn't an accident, Marcus. My heart stopped. What? I knew you worked security at Lenox Square. I've known for 6 months. I found you through a private investigator, but I wanted to see your character before I approached you. The world tilted on its axis. You deliberately left your wallet for me to find. I left it in your patrol area with enough money to solve your immediate problems. I had cameras recording to see what you'd do. I felt betrayed all over again. You tested me? I had to, Marcus. I had a settlement worth $131,000 and a trust fund worth $19,000 waiting for you. I had job offers and investment opportunities. I had the power to change your family's life forever. But I needed to know that the man I was helping still had the character that had impressed me during Sarah's treatment. He stood up slowly and handed me a remote control. Would you like to see the recording? On his wall-mounted TV, grainy security footage showed me finding the wallet, opening it, counting the money, and standing there for 10 minutes wrestling with the decision. You could have taken the money, and I never would have known it was you. The cameras weren't close enough to identify your face clearly. The footage showed me putting the wallet in my jacket and walking away. But you didn't. Even when you were desperate, even when you had every reason to hate me, you chose integrity over convenience. Dr. Harrison turned off the video and faced me directly. That's the character Sarah fell in love with. That's the father she wanted raising her children. That's the man I want to entrust with everything I'm leaving behind. Everything you're leaving behind. He handed me one final document. It was his will. Marcus, I never had children. My ex-wife and I divorced years ago. My parents are gone. I've spent my career saving lives, but I've built no life of my own to leave behind. I scanned the document, not believing what I was reading. After specific bequests to medical charities, the remainder of my estate goes to you and your children. Approximately $2.3 million. I dropped the papers. $2.3 million? The house, investment accounts, retirement funds, everything. With one condition. What condition? That you establish a foundation in Sarah's name to help families facing medical financial crises. Families like yours used to be. I couldn't speak. Couldn't process what was happening. I know it's overwhelming. Take time to think about it. But Marcus, I need you to understand something. He sat down across from me, his eyes intense despite his illness. None of this is charity. You earned every penny through 3 years of struggle that should never have happened. Through choosing integrity when it would have been easier to be bitter. Through raising 2 incredible children while carrying burdens that would have broken most people. He paused, coughing slightly. Sarah knew you were special. I should have trusted her judgment from the beginning. Dr. Harrison passed away 6 weeks later, peacefully in his sleep on a Thursday morning. Emma, Tyler, and I were with him, reading one of Tyler's favorite stories about a dragon who learned to be gentle. The funeral was small. A few colleagues from the hospital, some medical students he'd mentored, and the 3 people who had become his family in his final months. Emma placed a drawing on his casket. It showed all of us together in his living room, with Sarah watching from a cloud above. Tyler added his favorite toy car, so Dr. Harrison won't be lonely. That evening the lawyer read the full will. Everything was exactly as Dr. Harrison had promised. The house in Buckhead worth $1.2 million. Investment accounts totaling $847,000. Life insurance policies adding another $320,000. But it was the personal letter he'd left for me that broke my heart. Marcus, it began. If you're reading this, then my plan worked. I found you, made things right, and gave Emma and Tyler the security their mother wanted for them. I need you to know that meeting your family saved my life in ways that had nothing to do with medicine. For 3 years, I carried the guilt of failing you when you needed me most, watching you choose integrity over revenge. Seeing you raise those beautiful children with such love and dedication reminded me why I became a doctor in the first place. You gave an old, lonely man a family in his final months. Emma's drawings are hanging in my bedroom. Tyler's stories made me laugh when I hadn't laughed in years. Your friendship made my last months meaningful. Sarah would be proud of the man you've become and the father you are. Honor her memory by living fully, loving deeply, and never forgetting that integrity is the most valuable inheritance you can leave your children. The Sarah Williams Foundation isn't just about helping other families. It's about ensuring that the kindness and strength Sarah embodied continues to touch lives long after we're all gone. Thank you for returning my wallet. Thank you for proving that good people still exist. Thank you for giving my life purpose in its final chapter. Live well, my friend. Michael? 6 months later, I stood in the offices of the Sarah Williams Foundation, located in a renovated section of the old oncology wing where Sarah had received treatment. Emma, now 9, was helping me organize files, while Tyler, 6, played with building blocks in the corner. Our mission was simple. No family should face financial ruin because of medical bills. We paid for treatments, covered living expenses during long hospital stays, and provided job assistance for people whose careers had been interrupted by family medical crises. In our first year, we helped 127 families. Each case file contained a photo, and looking at them reminded me of our own journey through the darkest time in our lives. There was Maria Santos, whose husband was fighting leukemia while she struggled to keep their restaurant open. The foundation covered their mortgage for 6 months and hired temporary help for the restaurant. James Mitchell, a single father whose daughter needed heart surgery. We paid for his hotel stays during her 3-month recovery and connected him with a job that offered flexible hours. The Chen family, whose son's brain tumor required treatment at a specialized facility 400 miles from home. We covered travel expenses, lodging, and lost wages so both parents could be with him throughout his treatment. Every family we helped reminded me of who we used to be, desperate, frightened, overwhelmed by circumstances beyond our control. But now, instead of feeling helpless, we could be the hope that someone else needed. Emma had become the foundation's unofficial mascot. At 9, she understood that we helped families like ours used to be. She'd often ask if we could help specific children she'd met at the hospital during our visits. "Daddy," she said one afternoon while we were reviewing applications, "do you think Mommy knows about all the people we're helping?" I looked at the wall where we'd hung Sarah's photo, surrounded by thank you cards from families we'd assisted. "I think she knows, sweetheart. And I think she's proud of us." Tyler looked up from his blocks. "Are we rich now, Daddy?" It was a fair question. We lived in Dr. Harrison's house, had more money than I'd ever imagined, and could afford things that had once been impossible dreams. But wealth, I'd learned, was about more than money. We're rich in the ways that matter most, buddy. We have each other, we have a home, and we get to help other people. That's the best kind of rich there is. That evening, after the kids were asleep, I sat in what used to be Dr. Harrison's study, now my home office for foundation work. On the desk was the original wallet I'd found in the parking lot, now framed as a reminder of how a single moment of integrity had changed our lives forever. My phone buzzed with a text message from an unknown number. "Mr. Williams, my name is David Kim. I'm a security guard at Northside Hospital. My wife is fighting cancer, and we're about to lose our home. Someone gave me your foundation's number. Is there any way you could help?" I smiled, thinking about how perfectly the circle was completing itself. A security guard, just like I'd been, facing the same impossible choices I'd once faced. "I'll call you tomorrow morning," I texted back. "We're going to help you through this." As I prepared for bed, I stopped by Emma's room to check on her. She was sleeping peacefully, clutching a photo of Sarah that she kept on her nightstand. "Good night, Sarah," I whispered. "Thank you for teaching me that doing the right thing is always worth it, even when it's the hardest thing in the world." 3 years ago, I was a desperate man who found a wallet and chose integrity over convenience. Tonight, I was living proof that honesty, even when it hurts, always finds a way to come back to you. The foundation would help thousands of families over the years. Emma would grow up to become a doctor herself, inspired by both her mother's strength and Dr. Harrison's redemption. Tyler would become a teacher, dedicated to helping children who faced challenges at home. But the most important lesson they'd learn wouldn't come from their education or their inherited wealth. It would come from the story of a night when their father found a wallet containing more money than they'd seen in months, and chose to return it to the man who had broken his trust. They'd learn that integrity isn't something you practice when it's convenient. It's something you hold on to when it costs you everything, because that's when it matters most. And sometimes, just sometimes, The universe finds a way to reward that choice in ways you never could have imagined. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to remember that good people still exist in this world. If you've ever had to choose between doing what's right and doing what's easy, leave a comment and tell us about it. Subscribe to our channel for more stories that prove kindness, honesty, and integrity still matter in a world that sometimes seems to have forgotten their value, because sometimes the smallest choices make the biggest difference. Sometimes returning a wallet changes everything. And sometimes the person you choose to be in your darkest moment determines the person you get to become when the light returns.